What's going on, everybody? This is Matt with Blue Collar Entrepreneur, and today I want to make a video about a Comet P40 oil change and also a little update about this machine because we encountered our first problem. So I want to go over that with everybody, tell everyone how to do an oil change because I know it can be a little confusing and there's not much out there on this, and a lot of people don't get manuals with the machine for some reason. So let's go over that real quick, and we'll talk about a couple things and updates, and hopefully it helps you guys out. So let's get started real quick. So on the Comet P40, I believe that the recommended oil change was like after the first 50 hours, I believe, 50 to 100 hours. And then every time after that is every 300 hours. So with that being said, a lot of people don't know how to do an oil change on a Comet P40. It's a little tricky, but here, I am gonna break it down for you guys. So I've done it before. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is a little bit of a messy process, but let me show you this real quick. You can see that plug right there on the middle of the pump on the very bottom. Now, the best way to get to that is by using a little hex bit here that goes on a ratchet. This size in particular is a 5/32, and that goes right on the bottom. And again, like I was saying, this is very messy. It's a very tight area here, and by the time the plug falls out and you try to scoot something underneath there, oil's going everywhere. So just be aware of that. Have rags on hand, or if you can get yourself a tiny little dish to fit underneath there, I guess that'd be ideal. I didn't have that, but let it all drain out. Open up this top cap and let it flow a little bit better. Drains pretty quick. Now to refill this, we use SAE 30 non-detergent oil. If I remember correctly, last time this took about a quart of oil, but the most important thing is the first couple of uses after you use this, you're gonna see the oil level in the reservoir continue to drop until it levels out. So the first couple times you use this, make sure to have oil with you on hand. I would say it took us anywhere from 3 to 5 times using the pump for it to kind of level out, but every job we would just check the level and top it off. This kind of seems like after you run it, after you do an oil change, it keeps sucking it down in there, which is a good thing, but just be aware of that. You don't want to run that dry. Now here's another thing. A lot of people don't know how to check the oil level on the gearbox. So this is kind of old fashioned. This bolt right here is pretty much your sight glass, which is an awful design, but it is what it is. So if you take that bolt out right there and oil comes out, you know your level's good. If you take that bolt out and no oil comes out of there, your gearbox oil is low. So make sure to check that. And this takes, gosh, I can't remember off the top of my head. This is like a gearbox oil. I want to say like SAE 90 or something. I have to check that. Don't quote me on that. I will check it, but that is how you check your oil level. And then obviously you just take that cap off and fill it off right there. And then the Honda engine, pretty straightforward. You got 2 caps, 1 on each side. We use a sucking device to suck the oil out of there and then just top it off. That's 10W30 oil for that. So let me put this back and give you guys a little update on the P40. So we had our first problem with the P40 the other day. We were actually cleaning the house, and everything seemed fine on the P40 at the handle. Didn't notice any drop in performance or anything. Looked back at the trailer to check the water. Checked the water in the water tank and saw stuff spraying everywhere. So let me tell you what happened, because it was a super simple fix, thankfully, but it's important to have some spare parts on hand. So let me show you real quick what went on here. Give me 1 second to flip this around. And this right here is what it was. You see that O-ring? How it's torn? That's the problem right there. So you might be asking yourself where that came from. So if you're looking at the pump from the front, this is the regulator. I call these chambers. So there's essentially 3 chambers, one on the top, bottom right, bottom left, and then each chamber has 2 ports on there. And again, this is just what I call it. This is probably not the technical term, but each of these ports has 2 of those O-rings. Let me show you here. So there's 2 of these O-rings, like one right here and one right there on each one. So there's a total of 12 O-rings because you have 6 ports. Now, this particular O-ring came from right over here. It was right here underneath. This is the outlet on the pump. This O-ring was sticking out a little bit right here, and fluid was going everywhere. And so what we did is, my buddy had an O-ring kit. We took off the 12 bolts. There's 4 per chamber, so there's 4 here, 4 here, 4 over there. Take those 12 bolts off. This whole manifold right here comes off, super simple. And then these pull away from the ports, and you can see the O-rings. We just replaced it with a whatever O-ring we had on hand that was the closest size, and that has fixed the issue. But here's the thing. We're going to start changing these out every time we do an oil change. Might seem excessive, but I think it's preventative maintenance, because obviously O-rings wear. If you have a pressure washer, you know that O-rings go. That's just the nature of them. But here's the hard part, is getting these O-rings. If anyone has any luck finding them, let me know. I can't get my hands on them. I've called a couple of different places. They're hard to get on order. And actually, the last person I talked to said Comet had some, but they only had 5 O-rings in stock. So, with that being said, I'm not sure what's going on with that, but that was the first problem we had. Other than that, it's been maintenance free. But again, we're just going to do that every time we change the oil. Take this head off, replace the 12 O-rings, and then hopefully we won't have to struggle with that in the future. But if that happens, let me tell you guys what I did, and this made it super simple. So if you look back at the trailer and you're kind of freaking out that there's chemical going everywhere, because at the time we had the soap valve on, so it was sucking bleach and soap through there. Don't freak out. All I did was I turned the remote system off so that it started to suck water. So what I did is I let that water start to cycle through before I walked over to the machine, because when I say it was going everywhere, it's going everywhere. If you would have came over here, you probably would have got it in your eyes. So I turned off the soap in the chemical, let the water come through. I knew the water was flushing out clean water at that point, or I knew the machine was flushing out clean water at that point. Came over, shut the machine off. That's how I did it. Hopefully that helps. I don't want someone to run up and get bleach and soap in the eye, but just turn your soap valve off and let the machine start to suck water, and then go and turn it off as quick as you can. But if you don't choose to replace those O-rings every time you do an oil change, I highly suggest you have those on hand, because it was a 5 to 10 minute fix, but you got to have that O-ring. So you don't want to be out on the field and have to postpone a job because you didn't have a simple little O-ring. So that's just my suggestion for that. Let's see, any other updates? I can give you an update about the Midwest system. Let me go there real quick and show you that. So this system has worked great, still working fine. The only thing that we've had issues with is that this system drains batteries. And I'm convinced from what I've heard that these banjo valves pull current even when they're off. So it slowly drains the battery overnight. What we're gonna do is, actually, this is the power line for the rinse module here. We're gonna put a switch in line, so at the end of the day, we can turn that switch off. You know, if we go home for a weekend, it's not pulling current overnight and draining the battery. But that is just a little tip of advice there for that system. My understanding is that Midwest is now making these with a different soap valve, and my understanding is that they do not pull a current when they're not on. But if you have these banjo ones, I highly suggest you either put a switch in, or maybe even if you have a battery that is tied in with your machines, maybe that would also help prevent it, because the machines charge it as well. But we just have this battery that's powering the module, and it's tied into the machine. So, you know, but I know the machine charges, we checked that, everything's good, but that's just a little tip of advice. We're gonna put a little switch in there. It's gonna be easy to do and give us some peace of mind. So, with that being said, if you guys have any other questions, let me know about the P40. I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. Or anything pressure washing related. If you have any videos that you want, let me know. I'll be more than happy to make them for you. I'll try to make more videos. I know that one that I want to make soon is using the P40 for roof cleaning. I know someone asked about that, so I want to do that video. I think that would help a lot of people out. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about chemicals, soaps, anything, let me know. Be more than happy to help you guys out. I like to keep it true and honest, but yeah, P40 is still going great. O-ring blue, not the end of the world, but hard to get right now. So if anybody can locate those, give me a shout, let me know. Other than that, I hope you guys are doing well, and we'll see you soon. Thanks so much.